this is Oscar Mike here, and welcome back to this Granada Re-Reconquista guide. We're continuing on, seeing if we can deal with these peasant rebels. Now I'm going to go ahead and accept demands, I've decided, because they're currently static in garb, and I want to get rid of them, given the fact that we're so heavily in debt. Not to mention that I'm concerned about our potential neighbours. So I'll wait and see if they move, and if they don't move, I'm just going to accept whatever demands they want. Let's take a look. 50 prestige and a bit of autonomy. We'll go ahead and take it. Rebels have won. Okay. They are Moroccan rebels, and we just accepted demand with Granadan peasants. So there goes 50 prestige and a bit of autonomy. Nice way to start a new episode. A little bit rusty, nonetheless. I don't know why the heck I did that. I know why. I'm just so excited to get stuck back into this guide. So really, losing 50 prestige and a bit of autonomy is no consequence at all. We'll take out a few loans. And now they are going to move. But as you can see, they're currently going to move to Tangiers. So Rebels behave quite erratically, I'm not going to lie. They're very unpredictable, especially when you have situations like this where you have Moroccan rebels. The provinces I'm occupying, Morocco still has cores on them and I don't. I think that's why the rebels are sticking around. So I'm hiring mercenaries here, and we want to get rid of these rebels straight away. Then I'm going to low army maintenance to 0, disband all my mercs. Mothball all my fleets, mothball all fortifications, and then I'll seek to urgently go about repaying these loans. They are heading to Tangiers, so we'll go ahead, see if we can move there first. That way we might be able to fight a defensive battle. And you see they're moving again. This is what I'm talking about, rebels. They behave very erratically, very hard to determine exactly what their intentions are. Okay, so it appears that after heading into Tangiers, they're going to go ahead and leave my territory. Yeah, so that's the rebel problem dealt with. We took out more loans than we needed to, didn't need all those mercenaries, could have saved ourselves 50 prestige, but well, it's a learning experience, that's one way to put it. So, getting back to the overall theme of this guide, we have completed the second major, I suppose you could say, tier of this Granada progression. We originally expanded into Africa. We were flung from the Iberian Peninsula, and now we've won our war with Morocco, so the hard part's more or less over. Now, our truce time with Castile has expired. In addition, we're concerned about Portugal. Yes, Portugal and also Aragon. Morocco has been basically decapitated as a result of that war, and they're having to deal with those rebels. So I'm just selecting my rivals now. I'm insulting Castile because I want to boost my power projection up above 50. That will give me 1 extra monarch power points in each category. I got my trade ships back to collecting trade. Remember I mentioned that you wanted to keep your trade ships alive when you fight wars, and we've been able to successfully do that. We have a good faction leader and a good heir, so things are looking fairly good for us at the moment. I am a little concerned, because we've reduced our army size so low to pay off those loans, I'm a little concerned about either Castile or Portugal declaring war on us, or even potentially Aragon. I know that Castile and Portugal, as I said, do like to go ahead and sort of establish holdings in Northern Africa, especially that province at Tangiers that Portugal has a claim on. So we're just going to be pretty guarded. And I'm just doing a few things like figuring out my estates here. Yeah, so our trade node's been diverted to Safi now as opposed to Sevilla, so that's where we're going to focus. And we've got all our cores currently under construction. Morocco has announced Granada as a new rival, fully expected. Obviously, the fact that we had Morocco's arrival meant that when we conquered all their territory, we gained that phenomenal amount of power projection. as part of this guide, you want to get your power projection extremely high. Like I said, we have got our loyalty with our states all above 60%, so we're doing fairly well here. Fairly happy with my position. Revolt risk fairly low. Paying off loans, we're making a lot of money thanks to and there we go. Portugal has declared war, so we didn't get much time, unfortunately. Only a little bit of time to finish off some cores, and now we're immediately at war. So my priority is going to be recruiting some mercenaries, building up a strong land army, in the hope that if Portugal launches amphibious assaults, we're able to beat them quickly before they're able to establish much of a bridgehead. And our core in Tangiers is going to be occluded by the fact that Portugal also has a core in Tangiers. We don't, and because we're in a war with them, we can't core it. So we'll take out loans and we'll start recruiting. We'll burn all our manpower on cavalry because mercenary cavalry cost an egregious amount. And then we'll focus our mercenaries recruiting Muslim archer units, and we'll get that army as soon as possible ready to contest any amphibious landings Portugal makes. Alright, and we'll need to take many, many more loans as a result of this early declaration. No matter. Again, so long as raising war taxes, that's another important aspect. So long as we're fighting, when I see we're not at war with Castile, we'll put our national focus into military because we are behind the military tech level. This is a fast westernization strategy, so we're not really worried about any of it. Now, so Aragon has joined Portugal in this war, and that will also drag in Naples. Now, I'm very concerned about my trade ships. Absolutely, thankfully, we're able to retreat and not suffer any losses to my trade ships. We're not going to be able to defeat Aragon and Portugal in naval battles. They have total numerical superiority in galleys. So our focus here is going to be purely defending our newly conquered territory. Tunis has joined us. Yeah, there they are. So we should be able to prevent... The key thing is when Portugal and Aragon launch military incursions into your territory, they may attack me or Tunis. That's why I'm putting my army sort of close to the border of both of us. It's absolutely critical that you prevent them from landing a lot of troops. As soon as they start ferrying over troops, you have to go in and attack them aggressively. If you don't, they'll build up sufficient quantities where you're really not going to be able to take them on. That's why I'm keeping my army maintenance high and keeping my army in a relatively good position. This is going to be probably quite a long war, which is unfortunate. I'm going to destroy this fortification. Scepter, well, we can't afford any higher revolt risk. We have to consider the possibility that because we're going to be blockaded, we're going to suffer higher war exhaustion as a result of this war. So we demolish that fortification in Fez. That will at least keep us a little bit, reduce the expenses we spend every month, whilst keeping our critical fortifications in Tangiers, Scepter, and Oran, and Tlemcen fully maintained. So we are losing money. They haven't launched any amphibious assaults yet, but they're sure to come. And when they do, we're going to have to be ready. Here they come, there we go. Naples, they're going to attack Tunis. So this is what I was saying. The reason why they attack in such small amounts is because they have limited amounts of transport ships. However, if you don't attack them aggressively and fight them sort of on the beaches, as Winston Churchill would say, then they will be able to accumulate a really large, formidable army. And it looks like Tunis is kind of blundering over here and losing some of its troops. So we'll go ahead and yeah, you can see Aragon has 9 galleys in total. We wouldn't have hope now. Now I'm really worried that fleet has 12 transport ships. I don't know if it's an army in it. I can't tell. But Naples is starting to ferry over troops, so I'm gonna... Yeah, okay, so that Aragonese fleet, I had to follow it, because if it had 12,000 troops in it, it'd be critical that I fight a defensive battle and eliminate that army. As it is, it doesn't, so I can ignore that. Go ahead and take out this Naples army, Napolese army. They don't have a leader. 4,000 troops destroyed, 500 casualties. We'll keep up the pressure and move in and attack this army in Kef, I believe that is. I see the Tunis Navy's kind of blundering over here. They might actually win that battle. That would be good. Yeah, if we have to contest these amphibious landings. If we can do that and wait out the war, get our ticking war score for about 5 years, we should be fairly comfortable in holding them off. Okay, there we go. Remember I was telling you about those Aragonese transport ships? Turns out they did have an army, so I'm going to go ahead and move into... Alright, that's Naples' army completely crushed. We'll move into Bizerte, and like I said, absolutely critical that we fight this defensive battle. So I will go ahead and hire a discipline advisor, consolidate regiments, and there they go. They attack, they suffer -2 modifier to attacking force. Let's see how our rolls are. Good rolls so far, and we're getting reinforced by Tunis. If we can beat them here, bad roll there. If we can beat them here, they should only retreat 1 province, and we should be able to stack wipe them. The battle's going to be won at the end of the month, it seems. Yeah, okay, so that's a stack, right? Because the battle's ending at the start of the next month, they're not going to have a month to recover their army morale. So that's 13,000 Aragonese troops. Yeah, there we go. 13,000 Aragonese troops successfully dealt with. And that is pretty much the... we accomplished all the critical things. See, I make a lot of mistakes, but when it comes to the really important decisions, hundreds and hundreds of EU4Rs sunk, and I played EU3 for a long time, really come into effect here. And so we're able to quickly crush those marauding armies. We fought our defensive battle, we isolated Naples' army. Now, if I had waited any longer, if that army had managed to actually land without us contesting it in the beaches, we would be in very dire straits. And they're launching another amphibious assault. See if we can dispatch this. If we can. And I see no reason why we wouldn't be able to. If we can, then the war's basically won. Thinking about starting to increase development in this gold province. I will do that because we, as I say, now that we've defeated their land armies and got a bit of war score as a result, my focus is going to be, let's try and avoid bankruptcy, because we still have about 15 or 20 loans that we're going to have to pay off at some point. Alright, again, let's see if we can defeat them before the end of the month, and we should be able to stack wipe them. Yep, that's sufficient time. So because we defeat them mid-month, they don't get the army morale recovery, and we're able to eliminate another 2,500 troops. So that's Naples' army crushed down Aragon. I'm surprised that Portugal hasn't launched any amphibious assaults against us. I suspect they lost a lot of their transport ships in that war with Morocco, and that's why they're not doing it. So we're actually quite fortunate in that regard. I can't really see them launching additional amphibious assaults after those battles, which means that all we have to do is wait until a war score reaches 25 by defending the war goal, and if we do that, we should actually be able to get war reparations from Portugal, which will really help our economy. It'll also increase the time and the truce time and give us a bit more breathing space. So I'm going to go ahead and plough as much development as I can into Tafilialt, that gold producing province, because that is the single means by which we are going to pay off the inordinate amount of loans we had to take off to defeat Morocco. Yep, like I said, after having won this war, our next goal, well, we're going to have 2 subsequent goals. We'll pursue them simultaneously. In fact, 3 actually. Defend against Castile, complete the annexation of Morocco, and we're going to be pursuing a vast westernization strategy. We will not be opting for a colonization type run as part of this guide. I find that colonization is incredibly weak with Granada. I mean, you don't get any benefits to colonization, unlike Portugal and Castile. And colonization is expensive also. And you really need a decent fleet to protect your colonial holdings. So no, we are going to be probably going with humanist as our first idea group. And we will be extending loans for the foreseeable future. Blockade. Yeah, we're not too concerned because we have no occupied provinces, so only war exhaustion is going to emanate from basically the blockade. So we should be able to win this war with a reasonably low amount of war exhaustion. And I will continue to keep my army maintenance and maximum, and you see my army strategically positioned, sort of in between Tunis and Granada. That means if they launch any more amphibious assaults, although I'm not expecting them to, we'll be able to intercept them quickly and not allow them to establish a breachhead. Yeah, those are large fleets. A lot of ships. That's why I really don't advise building many ships as Granada. We will later on, don't get me wrong. Without giving too much away, my strategy is going to be defeating Castile and Aragon and Portugal through our control of the sea. That's what we're going to be aiming to do. We'll boost our gold. And I'm aware that if you increase development above 9 in a gold-producing province, it has a chance to deplete, but we are losing almost 7 ducats per month, so we will have to, I'm afraid, waste a bit of monarch point power in doing that. Yeah, our economy is in atrocious shape at the moment, unfortunately. We're also going to be suffering from very high inflation, but if we can win this war quickly... So again, I can see all of their transport ships, so what I actually decided to do there is low army maintenance and mothball all fortifications. We're losing too much money. I'll not disband my mercenaries, but you can see all their transport ships are focusing on a blockade. If I see their transport ships disappear, that'll be the indicator to increase army maintenance and activate my forts once more. But as they're not, I will sit tight and try and prevent myself from becoming bankrupt. Sometimes if you're really lucky and you're beating Portugal in an Aragon in a war like this, that will actually precipitate Castile to attack Aragon, but I'm not counting on it. That would require us to be a little bit lucky, and luck is never a sure thing, so... When playing EU4, I've learnt from many years of experience always to assume the worst. Let's see here. Oh, okay. That's going to be a problem. That is a huge problem. Now that's going to push our influence with the clergy up to 81%. And I don't believe I'm going to be able to bring that back down anytime soon. Let's see. Okay, we are. So it's 78% for the moment. I'll demand diplomatic support from the merchants. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked. There's a concern for a moment I wasn't going to be able to lower my clergy influence. But of course, all you have to do is revoke clergy provinces, and that settled that. So, panic over. We've avoided a... I've never actually had an estate get above 80% for, I think it progresses at +1 per month if you're just above 80%. I don't think I've ever had them try and sort of take over. And hopefully we won't ever have to deal with that, because I'm not really sure what happens. Oh yes, and of course, let's go ahead and fire our military advisors since we're not really using them. I'm not at all worried about wasting monarch power points, because again, we're going for the fast westernization strategy. So not much point paying a premium in technology now. Emir's reputation ruined. So if it's a choice between 1 stability and 100 diplomatic power, I will go for the 100 diplomatic power. Basically because diplomatic power is the only category of monarch power that we don't really need at all. We're really just focused on military power and administered power for coring. Power projection has drops below 50, but that is unavoidable as a result of the blockade. Once this war is over, we'll be able to send our trade ships out and maybe start privateering. Okay, dominance of the clergy. So why has their influence bounced above 80%? I can revoke estates. That brings it down by a little bit. Now, the problem is that's brought their control too low, as you can see, and it looks like I am not going to be able to both simultaneously keep their total control above 10% and the influence below 80%. Well, I said that we had never had an estate try to seize power, but it looks like it may be inevitable. I think if it's a question between having their influence, having their loyalty drop back, you have to keep their total control above 10% or their loyalty just plummets. So it looks like, in keeping with the themes of these sort of guides, we're just going to be hit by rebel crisis, dominance of the clergy, and lots of offensive wars prosecuted by Portugal, Castile, and Aragon. Yeah, I can see it's increasing by 2 per month. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to avoid that. So we're going to find out what happens when the clergy try and seize control over your province. Well, we'll deal with it during the time. Yeah, not going to be able to avoid that. Improving relations with Ottomans and the Mamluks. Now, we're going to have to make a decision. You should never ally the Mamluks and Ottomans, because if the Ottomans declare war on the Mamluks and you're allied with both, then the Mamluks will give a call to arms. You'll have to decline and you'll end up being allied with neither. Especially if the Ottomans do a call to arms. At least I think that's right. Alright, we will improve relations with the Mamluks though, because if you have good relations with a faction, they're a lot less likely to attack you. War scores up to 33% as a result of this war. So we should be able to extract some concessions from Portugal. War reparations would be great. Their treasury as well would be extremely helpful. Just taking a look here, and basically just running through time at this stage. Alright. Loans being renewed. Benign neglect. This happened in what could conceivably be the least beneficial province. Yeah, probably the least prosperous province in my entire territory. So I guess we'll go for... It's really going to have no substantive impact either way. So we get 0.01 additional income from that event. Let's see if we can sue for peace with Portugal. Not quite yet. I mean, we can, but that's not exactly... It's not exactly great, but since we're modifiers up to 25, I decided to go ahead and take it. So we got 12 ducats. Not really meaningful, but I think we have to split that with Tunis. But the war reparations is nice. And we've got our alliance with the Ottomans. And we kept war exhaustion mercifully low. So that's not too bad, actually. Checking my truce timer with Morocco, something I probably should have been done during the war, and royal marriage of Ottomans. Finish off fabricating claims on Morocco and go ahead and prepare for the offensive declaration. And if we offer a royal marriage to Mamelukes, but don't offer an alliance, we have diplomatic reputation advisor, so I'll cancel my mission. See if that'll bring us over to the threshold of an alliance. And the Ottomans are giving us subsidies right after the war being concluded. 4.82 ducats per month. We cannot offer an alliance with the Mamelukes, but probably going to avoid that for now. Just keep my relations high with them. So we know that we can ally with Mamelukes if things go wrong. So we'll fire our diplomatic reputation advisor right after hiring him. And look, we've got our army maintenance low. We disbanded our mercenaries. And with the Ottomans, now that's what often happens if you have good relations with major powers. Even if we had good relations with nations like France, oftentimes they'll give you subsidies if you're in a war, or if you're just dealing with a lot of financial debt. So having the Ottomans give us subsidies is going to be totally indispensable. That's actually a really major asset for us. Not much we can do about this clergy. It looks like they're going to take over. And we're just going to have to deal with that, unfortunately. If our control dropped below 10%, repay a loan, then we would suffer, I think, negative... God, there's so many modifiers in this game. I think we'd suffer declining loyalty at the end of every month, and that's not exactly what we want, because that would probably trigger another crisis. Autonomy is horrifically bad. Yeah, we're just gonna have to see what happens, basically. I've never had a Dominance of Clergy event, or Dominance of the, traders or nobles for that matter, so we're just gonna have to see what happens. Hopefully it's mercifully bad. Mercifully lenient, I should say. If it's something like minus, 3 or 4 stability and higher unrest, we can probably deal with it, although I'd really rather save my administrative power for our future war we're going to launch against Morocco. Just taking a look, checking about my power projection once more. Keep improving relations with Ottomans, Tunis and Mamelukes. Like I say, if the Mamelukes have high... and not forgetting to embargo my rivals, that'll push our power projection right up to where we need it. And we'll send our trade ships privateering. And folks, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. I apologize for the delay in getting this episode up. More sure to follow. Slightly more boring of an episode, unfortunately, but we did win that war, and next time our next focus is gonna be declaring war in Morocco. So guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you shortly. See you soon.